Let's learn this key term called solid. Solid is a set of 5 principles, SOLID 5, in object-oriented programming and design that aim to make software designs more understandable, flexible, and maintainable. The principles help developers create systems that are easier to manage and adapt over time. So these 5 principles, SOLID, and which basically the meaning of this S is single responsibility principle, or SRP. SRP. O stands for open closed principle. L stands for Liskov substitution principle, LSP. I stands for interface segregation principle, ISP. And D stands for dependency inversion principle, DIP. Let's learn about them one by one. So first one is single responsibility principle, SRP, and like it says, right, single responsibility. A class, let's take example of Java, right? A Java class should have only one reason to change, meaning it should only have one job or responsibility. This makes the class easier to understand and maintain. So for example, we have written a Java class file. That class should have only one responsibility, only one reason to change, right? There should not be more than one reason to change. That is one first principle. And let's see it is in the real time example. So consider this class. This class is user profile class, right? In this class we have these methods are there, right? Update profile method is there, send email notification method is there. So it violates SRP because it handles both user profile data, right? Here what we are doing is we are updating the user profile as well as we are sending notification. We have this send email notification. Now in what cases we need to change this this class? In what cases? If there is any change related to update profile, or if there is any change related to send email notification. What the definition says, a class should have only one reason to change, but in this case we have two reasons to change. One is the update profile, one is the sending email notification. So that's why it is breaking the SRP principle, which is single responsibility principle. Let's see how can we fix it. Now we see what we have done with SRP. We have refactored the earlier class by separating the responsibilities into two classes. So first class we have just notification service class, which will be responsible for sending email notification, whereas the other class, which is user profile class, which is just responsible for update profile. So the segregation is there, and now we have just one reason to change these classes, which is like for update profile is user profile update, for notification email service email notification change. And here's the example how we might use these two separate classes. So for example, simply we have just created the object of user profile and we are using the method update profile. We are sending the information, where for notification email service we have just created an object of notification service and we are using this method. Simple. Now the second principle, which is open close principle, OCP. Software entities, for example classes, modules or functions, should be open for extension but closed for modification. What does that mean? It means if we want to add some extension to it, then we should be able to add it, but that class should not be, we should not modify that should be closed. We should not modify the existing features. This means you should be able to add new functionalities without changing existing code, typically achieved through interfaces and inheritance. We will see that. Now consider this class, and I have just zoomed in this class so that it's more readable. Let's say we have a simple application that calculates the area of different shapes. So we have different shapes, circle, rectangle, etc., right? In this example, the area calculator class is not following the OCP, because if we want to add a new shape, for example triangle, so here just the implementation is there for circle and rectangle. For circle, what we are doing is whatever is the mathematics calculation of circle to calculate the area, we are added that logic here. For rectangle, another logic, right? So if in this example, if we want to add a new shape, for example triangle, then we have to modify the existing code, which is to update this area calculator class, correct? Now how can we fix it with OCP in our mind? So now let's refactor it to adhere to the open closed principle by using an interface and separate classes for each shape. So what we have done, we have created an interface which will calculate the area, okay, and now we have separate classes. Class circle will calculate the area of circle. What we have done, we have just implemented this interface shape and we have overridden the method which is calculate area, and we are just overriding this method passing the whatever is the mathematics calculation for circle. And similarly we have done this for rectangle, and now if you want to add it for anything, maybe if you want to add it for triangle, all we need to do is we will create a new class, implement this interface, and that's it. So no need, what we have done here, we are not updating the existing code. Existing code update is blocked, but we are adding new extension. The extension is calculation of triangle area, and we are just adding that logic. Now we can see if we want to add a new shape, right? If you want to add a new shape like a triangle, we simply create a new class. So new class means new extension we have added without modifying the existing code. We have just implemented the shape interface and we have overridden the calculate area method. That's it. Hope it makes sense. This is the usage example. Finally, we, for example, within main class, I want to add triangle. I'll just create an object of shape and use the triangle, initialize the triangle class. That's it. Now the third principle, which is Liskov substitution principle or LSP. Subtypes must be substitutable for their base types without affecting their correctness of the program. This ensures that derived classes extend the base class without changing its behavior. Now let's understand this with this example. So we have a class bird. Bird class is there in which we have a fly method. Simple. Now we have two separate classes. Bird can be a sparrow, bird can be a penguin. Penguin is also a bird, right? Now if a sparrow extends bird, then it needs to override this fly method, correct? So it will happily override this method if needed, otherwise we'll just use this fly because a bird can fly. But in case of penguin cannot fly, right? So penguin cannot, if will override, then of course it needs to override, but we'll throw an exception that penguin cannot fly. So in this example, replacing a bird object with a penguin object, right, it will break the expected behavior because, and which violates the Liskov or this LSP principle, right? What it says, subtypes must be substitutable for their base type. Subtype is, in our case, is penguin, and that should be substitutable with bird without affecting the correctness of the program. So that is breaking. Now how do we fix it? So we have the bird class. So we need to refactor this code. So what we will do, we will have separate flying birds, non-flying birds. So in this example, we have one class which is a bird, and then we are using this abstract class flying bird, which is extending bird, right? And then it will have a method called fly, right? When sparrow wants to extend which class it needs to extend? Flying bird, because sparrow can fly, right? But when penguin wants to extend, doesn't need to extend the flying bird one, but the main class. So in this case, we can substitute the subclass with the parent class. So in this case, we can substitute penguin class with the bird class, right? We can substitute sparrow class with the flying bird class. Let's see how do we use it. So for example, I want to use sparrow, so I can just substitute flying sparrow with flying bird. right? The parent one. Whereas for penguin, I can use the parent one, which is bird, right? So now we are not violating LSP rule. The third principle is interface segregation principle, ISP. Clients should not be forced to depend on interfaces they do not use. This principle advocates for creating smaller specific interfaces rather than a large general purpose interface. And let's understand this principle using this example. So consider a single large interface for a machine learning that includes methods for various operations. Now in this example, simple printer is forced to implement methods which does not support, violating the interface segregation principle. So for example, this is the interface, right? Now this interface machine is having these methods: print document, scan document, fax document, and these are not methods needs to be overridden any class which is going to implement this interface, right? So for example, this one, multifunction printer, right? It is implementing this interface machine. Now this class, for this class which is a multifunction printer, it is only interested in this method which is print document, right? Multifunction printer. So print document. No, sorry, actually this multifunction printer, right? It is utilizing all the methods. So it is happily overriding all the methods: print document, scan document, fax document, because it is multifunction printer. But whereas this class, simple printer, what it does, it just simply print the document, right? So but other methods, like for example scanning is not provided by this one. Fax documents is not provided by this one because it's a simple printer. So what is wrong here? This interface is having so many methods that those are forced to be implemented by the subclass which is implementing this interface. So that's why it's violating the ISP rule. Now let's see with the ISP. So to adhere to ISP, we can create smaller, more specific interfaces. Now we have created 3 interfaces. One interface, print document, simple printer, then scanner, then fax, simple. Wherever we want to use it, we just need to implement it. So for example, for multifunction printer, since we need all those methods, print document, scan document, fax document, we will implement all the interfaces, printer, scanner and fax. Whereas in simple printer case, we just need printer because we just want to use this method, print document. We can just implement this interface. And now finally, while using each class will just only implement the interface relevant to its functionality. So for example, I'm using printer, right, just for print documents, whereas if I want to use any of the specific one, scanning, or I can just use the multifunction printer object. So next principle is dependency inversion principle, DIP. High level modules should not depend on low level modules. Both should depend on abstraction. Means for example interfaces, right? Additionally, abstraction should not depend on details. Details should depend on abstractions. This principle helps reduce the coupling between different parts of system. Let's understand it. Consider this scenario, right? So what we have is an email service class and we have notification service class. This scenario where notification service, this service, right, is tightly coupled to email service, because we see this method is written send email, correct? So if you want to use the object of this class email service and we use trigger this send email, it is tightly coupled, right? So if you want to change the notification method, then for example right now it's email, we want to change it to SMS, we need to modify the notification service class, right? Let's see how can we fix it. I mean this is without DIP. Let's see how we should fix it. So to fix it, what we can do, we should introduce an abstraction, or we should say it as interface, that both the notification service as well as any notification method can depend on. So for example, we can create email service, we can create SMS service. They both can implement this interface notification, and then this notification service, it will just invoke an abstract, which is a generic method send, right? So this can be invoked whether it's email service, then it will have an implementation of email service. If it is SMS service, then it will just override this send method of this send of interface notification interface, right? So let's go back to the definition again. Let's understand what it says, and this time I think it should make more sense. High level modules should not depend on low level modules, right? Both should depend on abstraction. So in that case, abstraction, that interface we have, this one, the interface we have, the notification interface, right? Abstraction should not depend on details, means this interface is not dependent on the implementation classes. Instead, implementation classes are actually dependent on the abstraction, right? So that is the principle, and that is how we can implement it. Now within this main method, what I am doing, if I want email service, I'll just create object of notification will of type email service, and then I will just use this, right? If I want to use SMS service, then I will create object of type SMS service, and then I can use it. Same method I'm using with same interface but different implementation classes. Let's see the benefits of solid principles. Improved code quality, enhances readability and reduces complexity. Easier maintenance, simplifies the process of updating and modifying code. Better testability, makes it easier to test individual component of the system. Increased flexibility, allows developers to adapt and extend systems more easily without introducing bugs. Now we understood the solid principles, and this term comes software architecture. Let's see what is the relationship between these two. First thing is design foundations. Solid principles provide foundational guidelines for designing classes and modules within a software architecture, promoting a clean and manageable code base. Modularity, by encouraging single responsibilities and well-defined interfaces, Solid helps create modular systems. This modularity is crucial in architectural design, allowing for easier maintenance and scalability. Flexibility and extensibility. The open-closed principle and dependency inversion principle specifically foster an architecture that is flexible and can be extended without major rewrite. We just saw that, right? If you want to use SMS service, all we need to do is write a new implementation class, invoke the interface method, and then that's it. No need to change the existing interface or class. This is vital for adapting to new requirements or technologies. Reduction of coupling. Solid principles, specifically the dependency inversion principle, help reduce coupling between components. This is important in architecture as it promotes the independence of modules, making the system more robust and easier to change. And we have seen like these are the features through which using those principles we can achieve easily. Enhanced maintainability. Applying solid principles leads to designs that are easier to maintain and modify, which is a key consideration in software architecture, ensuring long-term sustainability of the system. Improved collaboration. By adhering to solid principles, teams can work more effectively on different components of an architecture, as the clear structure and responsibilities reduce confusion and overlap. Now let's see the summary of solid principles. So while solid principles primarily address the design of individual classes and components, like the very low level we are going, they significantly influence the overall software architecture by promoting best practices that lead to clean, maintainable and scalable systems. Thus, understanding and applying solid principle is essential for creating effective software architecture. That is the key take.